Say something. Good afternoon, Namibia and the world, and welcome to another session here at the Government Information Center. I am your host for the afternoon, and my name is Shianwa Desire Kahiha. And today we're looking at the topic of academic transformation from secondary to technical and bridging education. This is the third of three in a series that we were tackling this week with regards to the transformation academically, to try and educate and guide our youth, especially in a time where they are feeling lost, lost and not quite sure on what options they do have. This series was meant for that particular reason. But before we dive into our topic for the afternoon, I would love to call on Dr. Kalumbi Shangula from the Ministry of Health and Social Services to give us the COVID update for this afternoon. Good afternoon, Doctor. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and good afternoon, moderators. Good afternoon, panelists. Good afternoon, fellow Namibians. I'm going to give you the update for the 9th of February 2022. We have received 1,690 results from different laboratories, and out of those, 48 has tested positive for COVID-19. During the past 24-hour post-reporting cycle, which gives us 2.8% positivity ratio. Out of this number, 44 are new cases and 4 are reinfections. They are made up of 25 females and 23 males. The ages range from 5 months to 89 years. They are as follow. Comas, 15, all from Windhoek. Ochadanjupa, 7, with Okahanja having recorded 3, Otjiwarongo and Grootfontein have recorded 2 each. Ohangwena, 5 cases, with Angela having recorded 3 and Enhana 2. Erongo, 4, 2 from Swakopmund, 1 from Wolf's Bay, and 1 from Omaruru. Omaheke, 3, all from Khobabis. Karas, 3, with Keetmanshoop have recorded 2 and Luderitz 1. Kavango East, 2, all from Rundu. Oshana, 2 from Oshakati. Oshikoto, Kunene, and Zambezi, 1 each from Tsumeb, Opuo, and Katima Mulilo, respectively. The cases I have reported, they are recorded from 11 regions. Comas have recorded the majority of 15, which constitute 33.3% of the total cases. Among these new cases, there are 5 learners, 2 health care workers, 1 teacher, and 1 student. 2 of the cases have received 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccines, 11 cases are fully vaccinated, and 1 of the 11 have received a booster dose. And 35 cases, which make up 72.9%, have not been vaccinated. 746 cases from 9 regions have recovered, with Erongo having recorded the highest number, 400, Comas 259, Otjiwarongo 32, Ohangwena 31, Karas 12, Zambezi 7, Umsati and Hardap 2 each, and Kavango East 1. The number of active cases now stand at 3,470. 56 cases are currently hospitalized. They are from 11 regions. 1 of the hospitalized cases have received 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccine, 5 are fully vaccinated, and 50 are not vaccinated, and they are making up 89.3% of all the hospitalized cases. In the intensive care unit, we have 3 cases. 1 is fully vaccinated among those. We are reporting 4 deaths, all from Oshikuku district. All the deaths, they occur between the 3rd and the 5th of February. 1 of the deaths have occurred at home, and none of the deceased have been vaccinated. By the 8th of February 2022, a total of 423,397 people aged 18 and above have received 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccine, which translate into 28.8% of the target population. A total of 117,608 have received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, while 246,236 adults have received 2 doses of other vaccines type. Hence, 363,844 adults have completed their vaccination, which translate into 24.7% of that particular target population. 6,345 children aged between 12 and 17 years have received 1 dose of Pfizer vaccine, which represent 2% of that particular target population. Now, of these, 1,239 are fully vaccinated. Hence, the cumulative number of people vaccinated with the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine for both adults and children is 429,742, of which 365,083 are fully vaccinated, translating into 20.5% of the total target population of the country, which is 1,779,271. 19,541 people have received COVID-19 vaccine booster dose. In terms of summary, we now have individuals totaling 156,563 who have been confirmed positive since the beginning of the pandemic in Namibia. Out of those, 158,602 includes, that this number I've mentioned include the reinfection. The recoveries stand at 151,129, which translate into 96.5%. The total COVID death stands at 3,662, exclusive of 326 COVID-related deaths. And when these two numbers are added up, it gives us a total number of deaths related to, with the involvement of COVID-19, of 3,988. So far, we have tested 934,397 samples for COVID-19. The total number of people currently in quarantine facility stands at 266. This concludes today's COVID-19 update, and I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shingla, for this afternoon's COVID update. We appreciate the efforts to try and make sure that we keep our Namibian population up to date with all the new developments with regards to COVID. But clearly, with the fact that, people keep testing positive, we are reminded that COVID is very much still amongst us, and we should stay vigilant at all times. As they say, COVID is the invincible enemy. So we should continue to regularly wash our hands with running water and soap. We should sanitize and also disinfect surfaces that we are working on and practice social distancing. Getting back to this afternoon's topic, as we said, it is a series of 3, and this is the last one. We're looking at the academic transformation from secondary to technical and bridging education. And this afternoon, I have 2 panelists in the studio with me that are going to help us look at this particular topic from their perspective with regards to their specific or respective institutions. We have Dr. Daniel Nyangwa. He is the rector at Monotronic Success College. We also have Mr. Jan Nitschke. He is the director for curriculum and materials development at NAMCO. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Desiree.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence this afternoon.
Desiree.
We will dive right into it. I think it would be good if we could give a bit of background to the public. If you could briefly just give us the mandate of your respective institutions, what it is that you stand for and what it is that you do. Doctor, you can start with you.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, Monotronic Success College was a bit of history and background.
Yes.
Was established in the year 1999 and we were registered by the then Minister of Higher Education in the year 2000. So when NQA came, the NQA Act came into force in 2002, 2003, we were as well accredited under the Namibia Qualification Authority. So accreditation, it means a process of going through quality assurance checks. So in that quality assurance checks, we were given a mandate. And yes, by then, the strategic position of Monitronic Success College was simply to bridge those ones who are finishing vocational, who finish normally at level 3. As you know that our vocational qualifications, they end at level 3. So there was a gap between from level 3, level 4, level 5, as most of our universities, they are starting at level 7. So strategically, that's where Monitronics placed itself to say, okay, our relevance and our mandate coming in here is to bridge that gap. What will happen to a student, a trainee from a VTC? How does that particular person articulate into higher education? So we were given mandate on our certificates to offer our certificates and diplomas from level 4, level 5, and level 6. So basically that's our mandate, although we can extend the issue of mandate to several issues. Strategically, we have a mandate. In terms of us being a responsible organization in the country, we have a mandate to ensure that we stick to our quality assurance, I don't want to call it charter. So basically, yes, it's a broad effect, but in brief, that's what I can say. That's our mandate at the moment. We are offering certificates and diplomas accredited by NQA, as well as registered by the National Council for Higher Education, which is NCHE.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Mr. Nitschke?
Thank you, the moderator and the audience and viewers. Yes, NAMCOL, the Namibian College of Open Learning, is a public funded institution established by an Act of Parliament and really mandated to provide study opportunities for adults and out-of-school youth using a wide range of open learning methodologies. So NAMCOL is in the open learning environment. And as we know these days, open learning and e-learning are closely related. So we usually talked about ODL. These days we talk about ODL to make emphasis on the e-learning component of the institution. So as was the perception in the past that NAMCOL is mainly for secondary education, the institution's mandate is actually wider than that. And therefore, the institution has also ventured into vocational training and tertiary programs. So it offers a range of certificates, diplomas, degrees, postgraduate qualifications in the higher education sector.
Okay. Okay. So perceptions are being broken at platforms like this, where clearly people had preconceived conceptions about these institutions, and this is where we clarify this. A few years back, the transformation with regards to the Namibian secondary education curriculum started. Now, we just want to find out, with regards to your respective institutions, how has that affected you and your operations? Doctor?
Oh, thank you very much, Desire. Yeah, to us, we have what we call MOQAMS. MOQAMS is a Monitronic Success College Quality Management System. So that system is the one which is a framework, I want to say, or a guideline to the institution in order for us to maintain our quality standards. MOQAMS is also linked to the NQA Act, which is the accreditation standard. the national accreditation standard. So basically, with MOCAMS, it's an extension of the NQA Act in terms of the NQA Act standard of accreditation. So our quality assurance system does not start in the classroom. It starts when the learners are still in high school. That's where we start. So the change of the curriculum, the change of the curriculum, it has affected us in so many. I can just group them into three. I try to group them into three. In terms of our academic administration, in terms of finances, in terms of our faculty. So in terms of administration, we normally plan things based on the high school curriculum. This involved the admission requirements. We have all the study materials. We have all the literature to do with informing the students out there. And these were printed at high cost. So basically, we had to change all those materials to align with the new curriculum. So it really affects us in that way. We had also to make sure to say our course advisors, our course counselors, they are retrained. Because as of now, we are not even yet very familiar with the new curriculum. We have not yet any intake as per se in the new curriculum. So we are still in sort of, I want to call it in doldrums. We don't really know about these people. Because what we do is, whenever you plan, for example, we take students on mature age entry. So our mature age entry tests are designed, linked to the high school curriculum. So as of now, we are not sure whether our mature age entry tests are still relevant, especially in many other circumstances. So even if we come to our policies within MOCAMS, our quality assurance systems, what builds it, the other pillars, is those policies we have, is those procedures we have. If we have an admission policy, we have a procedure which comes with an admission policy. It means all that we had to review. To say, okay, our admission policy is no longer say you must have grade 12 and all this and all this. It's now saying you have to have grade 11, so many points. We have to redraft even our evaluation scale. But we don't do this overnight because we've got stakeholders. For example, when we're developing a qualification, we went to stakeholders, the industry, and said, this is the entry qualification. Then they'll say, okay, it's good for you to say these are the entry requirements. But all of a sudden, we can't change it without consulting them as well. So it goes through a process again and go to the college board for approvals. So it's a long process. So it has affected us in many things. As I said, financial as well. So all these things are coming with costs. We had to set up a budget, which we didn't have after COVID, with COVID effects. But yeah, somehow that's how this change of new curriculum is it's still affecting us because we are not yet really
not
grounded
set yet
into it. Yes.
Mr. Nitschke.
I have much appreciation for my co-panelist, Dr. Daniel, I think, for the situation of the curriculum. I think we probably in a better situation as a publicly funded institution who also partake in curriculum development together with NIET, the National Institute for Educational Development. And fortunately, we were aware for many years of this change that is coming. So we could plan. I think probably one of the biggest impacts on NAMCOL was the exit level grade 10 that existed in the previous curriculum that was no more in the new curriculum. And NAMCOL had usually an intake of around 10,000 students in that level. And the last 5 years before the curriculum changed, NAMCOL had really to step up and prepare for the loss of enrollments in that sector. So that is why NEMCOL had to strengthen its tertiary level programs, bring more programs on board, and also its vocational training sector so that we can accumulate or concentrate more students in those fields to make up for the loss in the secondary education. But we had to go through the same in terms of the material development. You know, all the previous books we've developed was no more relevant. And fortunately for us, government also buys our books. So we publish together with Cambridge University Press.
Okay.
So our books are very popular in schools. So we make sure that those books get into the catalog. And that covers at least the cost of the production of those books. Because we had to produce 2 books for the ordinary level as well as for the advanced subsidiary level. Yes.
You mentioned something just now with regards to the removal of the exit level that was usually at grade 10.
Yes.
Many people, the view out there is, was it actually removed or was it just adjusted to a different level? Because now, if we understand the current curriculum correctly, it's not like it was completely removed, because now grade 11 has become an exit level. So is it a removal or just an adjustment?
I think the biggest confusion out there is probably because we attach grades to the level, the exit level. What we normally had is the Namibia Senior Certificate, ordinary level, and Namibia Senior Certificate, higher level. Both of those 2 exits were at grade 12.
Yes.
But it was a 2-year curriculum, in any case, 11 and 12. Now the ordinary level is 10, 11, and the higher level, which we refer now to as advanced subsidiary level, is grade 12. So if you stick to NSCC-O and NSCC-AS, then things should still be the normal. The normal should show, even when people struggle with their entry requirements, it's because in our entry requirements we refer to grade 10 and grade 12 and those things. But if we can just adjust it to NSCC-O for ordinary level and NSCC-AS for the higher level, you know, then things should be reasonably easy to adjust.
Okay.
So yes, the exit at grade 10 has been removed.
Okay.
Yeah, you have now grade 9, not an exit. If a learner fails grade 9, he must repeat school. And when the learner goes into grade 10, it's a 2-year curriculum, 10, 11. And then the learner can exit.
Okay. As I said, we are breaking myths, we are clarifying things, and that is one of those big questions that were out there. So I hope we have been able to address that particular one. Another one that also comes out is finance. That's another big one. And we wanted to know, does NSFAF finance the students that are enrolled at your respective institutions? And also, are there any facilitation processes that are done by the institution in the case where there are students that are struggling financially?
All right, thank you, Desire, once again. Yes, indeed, the Monitronic Success College, NSFAF is funding students. Yes, we get quite a few number funded by NSFAF. We also, but in terms of Monitronics, we do have institutions which give grants to students. For example, we have got NTA is giving grants to students. We also have now Social Security Commission is also funded students. So here and there we get these funders who come in. In terms of NSFAF, of course, I don't want to go into challenges which NSFAF is facing, but our students, there's much demand in terms of funding, because we would find that I want to put them at 40% of the students who want to come, they need funding. And when they apply to NSFAF, perhaps 5% of them only get funded. So the level of funding is very low.
Okay.
So out there you find really bright stars, students with good qualifications.
Yeah.
And it's so painful that this student cannot progress to higher education
Yeah.
because even NASFAF, they applied to NASFAF and they were rejected. Well, as an institution, we really want more funding from NASFAF. I think our people were saying we have to have a separate meeting with NASFAF so that at least we can have more students funded.
Okay.
But yes, the students of Monitronics, as long as you meet the requirements
Yeah.
of NASFAF.
You
I
are
think at the moment at Monitronics Access College, they are taking, they can fund you if you are doing your diploma and you have got, I think it's 23 points. We start from 23 points. You can be funded.
Okay.
But those ones which we really know, they get their funding there at 25 points. But we are happy with the grants so far.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's why we are not fighting with NASFAF so much. Because when the grants come,
Yeah.
we sit down with the Social Security Commission and we agree on terms.
Yeah.
And the good part of it, we get a very good success rate.
Yeah.
If they
yeah.
fund 50 students, we know all those, when they finish, they are properly skilled.
Yes.
We have a scheme where we mentor them and they get into employment, for especially in our hospitality school in Oshorongo. 99% of them, they get jobs before even they finish.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how, because when we are training through these grants, we do it more thorough because we
Yes.
tell them exactly, for us to achieve a quality education here, we need this A, B, C, D, of which you cannot tell a student who is funding themselves.
Yes.
Because now we have the issue of COVID. You can't tell maybe somebody coming from Ovambrand, you cannot work here without a laptop. You cannot work here without the requisite tools needed for you to do electrical engineering. You can't. They will not be able to afford.
Exactly.
So that is where the challenge is. So NASFAF is needed to fund more. If they can do it somehow to get a budget to increase to fund more
Yeah.
Namibian child,
Yeah.
we will have more progress in this regard.
Okay. And it's these platforms that we're trying to use to try and highlight some of the challenges that the institutions are facing, especially on the financial perspective, on curriculum changes, on perceptions that have really kind of put a bad light onto their respective institutions. We would like to remind you that you're welcome to join the conversation. You can call us in. You can, join us on our social media platforms. Just through the comments, you can put in your questions. Our call line is 061, that's the area code. The number is 400-397. 400-397, that's the call-in number. On our social media platforms, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us at the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia. That is on Facebook, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia. On YouTube, we are streaming live via our channel there, which is MICT Namibia. MICT Namibia. That is on YouTube. We pose the same question now to Mr. Nitschke. Finances, NASFAF, are you financed?
Yes, Desire. We have three categories of students. That is the secondary education student, the vocational training student, and the tertiary student.
Yes.
Yes, NASFAF do support
Okay.
the vocational training and the tertiary student
Okay.
who qualifies.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there are many who do not qualify, and that places a huge burden on the student.
Yeah.
We have just completed last week our tertiary level registrations, but there were so many students who did not have the fund because they must pay 2,000 on enrollment,
Yeah.
and they just didn't have the money.
Wow.
We had to extend on their request to another week, so we will close now tomorrow.
Okay.
Finally, for the tertiary level student. But this is a huge call that the funding is just not sufficient for students. The vocational training student is best off in the sense that the institution is also supported by the National Namibia Training Authority, NTA.
Yeah.
So that student's training is reasonably covered.
Okay.
Okay, we can say covered in full. But the tertiary student is really struggling, and the secondary student also. NAMCOL is, I almost want to put my head on the block, say it's the cheapest tertiary institution in the country, or educational institution in terms of fees. But the students are still struggling. For the secondary education, the student only pay 110 Namibian dollars registration and 300 per subject for the full year, and you get all your study material with the tuition and those things that are included. But still, that is a challenge. If the student must register for 3 subjects, it's 900 plus the registration fee is 1,000 something. So NAMCOL also has a scholarship program where the institution takes some of its limited funds to put aside for those students who really struggle and the parents cannot pay. So students are encouraged to ask at enrollment what the scholarship entails and get the enrollment forms and so on. Normally, we want recommendations from regional counselors and so on to confirm that the student is really in need and so on. So there is a process, just follow the procedures and apply, and who knows, maybe you will be lucky to also get support. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Before we have a follow-up question for Mr. Nitschke, we would like to welcome the caller that we have on the line. He is Jeremiah from Arundu. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We are well. How would you like to add your voice to the conversation today?
I just want to ask some questions regarding the institution.
Yes. Can you speak up a bit, Mr. Jeremiah? We can't hear you clearly.
Okay. How is the program for postgraduate? Can the institution be using the postgraduates in order for them to be paid for the NSF? Or how does it work?
Come again. I don't think I grabbed that question clearly. You're asking whether the institution has a postgraduate program.
Yes. And then that program, can it be paid for NSF?
Okay, so basically, to that regard, you are most likely referring to Monotronic Success College. Okay.
Yes.
Because NAMCOL only has the 3 levels that Mr. Nitschke referred to.
So do we have a postgraduate qualification?
Okay, so we will pose that question, and let's hear how our panelists can best advise you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's start off with Dr.
All right, thank you very much, Jeremiah. At the moment, what we have is a Monotronic Success College is offering Namibian qualifications, which are certificate, diploma, and level 6. However, we have collaboration with certain universities which we work with. For example, we were offering all along an MBA, and this is an Australian qualification. Yes, people used to get funding from NASFAF. We also now are working together with a university from Zambia called the Super Shiny University. We have a collaboration. We share in many things, not only qualification, in terms of quality assurance, in terms of developing of materials, in terms of lecturers and all that. So you can still apply for those particular ones, and yes, the people are funded because they are accredited in the country of origin. You can still just submit your application. If you go, for example, to the NQF, where the Namibian qualifications are accredited, listed, you will not find those particular qualifications because they are foreign qualifications. I can just give you a simple example. If you go to NQA list, you won't find UNISA qualifications on there. So it is the same thing. But NASFAF can fund you on UNISA, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the same applies to Supershine. You can be funded. However, I think in the near future, I once explained here a little bit about our mandate gap, where we are covering certificate and diplomas. We are rebranding in terms of an institution. So we have a lot of qualifications which are still with NQA.
Yes.
Postgraduates We have master's degrees. We are even going to PhD as well,
Okay.
where they are going through accreditation at the moment. Those will be Namibian qualifications, and we expect to launch these qualifications by September this year.
Okay.
So yes, if you want to apply, you can go to our website and you choose your postgraduate, then we can send you the information and you can apply through to NASFAF. Thank you.
Mr. Nitschke, with that regard?
Yes,
you have
I
a comment
think,
to that?
yeah, we also have a postgraduate qualification on level 8.
Okay, okay.
In open school operation and management. And there is support through the Commonwealth of Learning
Okay.
for students who are employed in the open and distance learning field.
Okay.
But yes, students are also welcome to approach NASTA for support
Okay.
because it's within their mandate
Yeah,
to
yeah.
support that kind of qualifications.
I think this brings us to our next question, which basically speaks to admission fees. I know that you had mentioned earlier on the secondary level admission fees that spoke to $150 per subject, I believe?
Now, 110 registration and
Okay.
300 per subject.
Okay, so maybe you can just elaborate further to
Yes.
us on the different levels that you have, what the different fees are.
Yes. Okay, so the secondary education, as we said, it is 110 registration and 300 per subject, of which the student then, depending on the number of subjects the students take. There are restrictions, especially if you translate from the old curriculum to the new curriculum. So there are restrictions and students should be aware. If you have done grade 12 in the past and you want now to come to the ordinary level or AS level, there are certain requirements that you need to fulfill. Or grade 10 in the old curriculum and you want to translate into the new ordinary level curriculum. But yes, we also have another secondary education program that we refer to as PETE, P-E-T-E, pre-entry to tertiary education, where we focus now particularly on those students who want to prepare for university. And that is a special program where the fee is slightly higher because of more effort that is put into that student,
Wait, you said those are the students that are?
particularly focusing on specific fields for university, like
okay.
sciences or social science or
Yes.
whatever, commerce and so on. Now, the AS level will mostly be offered in that model, in the
Okay.
PETE model, which is now more contact-based.
Yes.
And it's mostly offered at our regional offices here in Windhoek, on Otjiwarongo, in Onkodiva, and in Rundu. But we will also, in the PETE model, make provision for the sciences and mathematics because of the need that is there
Yeah.
at ordinary level. But they pay 400 per subject.
Okay.
So students, the applications for that is also open. Students can collect forms at our regional offices and complete if they want to engage in that specific programs. The entry requirements is a bit more stringent. And yes, you are selected and then informed to partake in that program. For vocational training, we are basically done with registrations. I think most of the areas has been taken. When the open spaces has been taken, apart from, is it Automac that there's a few spaces, but it's already, that students has already been awarded that spaces, they must just come and register.
Okay.
Where there is really spaces in office administration level 3, where students must have passed level 2. They must already have level 2, and then they can come in at level 3. In that case, you pay 1,550 to enter into that field. Tertiary education, as I said, we are closing tomorrow. The fee is 2,000 Namibian dollars. There are different entry requirements at certificate level, at diploma level, at degree level, at postgraduate level, ranging between 20 points to 25 points, depending on the level.
Yes.
There will be another opportunity. So students are encouraged to rush tomorrow. If you have already received notice from the institution that you must register, tomorrow is your last chance. But there will be an opportunity for late applications, which is 28 February.
28 February.
28 February. Students can then approach us again and say, I would like to do this course, I did not apply. You can then submit your application, or if you were successful and you couldn't register, you can approach us at that time
Okay.
to say, I have now the funds, can I register?
Yeah.
But it's only in Windhoek and on Godiva. But for late applications, there is additional fee of 500 Namibian dollars
Okay.
if you only come to apply now.
Yeah.
So that is more or less how our fees and fee structure works.
Okay, okay. Before we continue with the same question to Dr. Nyangwe, we would like to ask Teresia from Grootfontein to add her voice to the conversation. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon to you all. I only have a quick question. We have students that applied for NS5 last year, but then they didn't get the award for the fund because the application was incomplete.
Okay.
But as they're trying to apply this year for NS5, there's a complication in the system. They ain't getting through with the application. So is it possible for their last year's application to be cleared off from the system so they can manage to apply for this year?
But your question is asking whether it's possible for these learners to continue applying to these institutions while you await for NSFAF to clarify their system error.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it also happened to me. I've been trying to apply, but I keep on getting a response of an error.
You're trying to apply to NSFAF?
Yes, but then it's not going through.
Okay. Because with the last, one of the series that we had earlier in the week, we had a NSFAF representative who was saying that due to the late results release, the files that they would receive from the ministry with results had not been received yet. Yes, so maybe that is one of the reasons why you have not been able to get through to that. But then your question is basically speaking to whether or not you can continue to register at these respective institutions while you await NSFAF's results.
Not exactly.
Okay.
My question is, can NSFAF clear off the last year's application, their system?
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
no, Ms. Teresia, I think I grasp your question right now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that one. I think coming to Teresia's question, it was more focused on NSFAF and the NSFAF system that was giving a problem to applicants who were trying to get funding or apply for funding from NSFAF. And unfortunately, the panelist that we have today is looking more to the institutions, and we don't have that NSFAF representative in today. So maybe that, Ms. Teresia, with that respect, it would be advisable that you call NSFAF and just ask how far they've been able to release, receive the files from the Ministry of Education, because I believe that you need a code that is attached to your examination as a student to be able to continue with the process of application online with NSFAF. So we come back to the question that we had with regards to admission fees. What does that look like with Monotronics College?
All right, thank you very much. But let me just go back to, is it Teresia's question?
Yes, Teresia.
Yes, I will not answer on behalf of NSFAF, but I just want to say something with regards to our institution, Monotronics Success College.
Yes.
We have a lot of students who have applied last year. So, yes, they did not get the offer letters. But with NSFAF, they are requesting these students to come, because most of their applications are incomplete.
Okay.
They are missing documents. There are certain things which they have to go. Most of them, they did not sign the contract with NSFAF. As of now, I think 99% of our students, Monotronics, never received anything from NSFAF, because most of the students did not sign the contract.
Okay.
So they should go to NSFAF to sign the contract.
Okay.
If they want to reapply for this year, it will be difficult. The system will not allow them to go through until they go to NSFAF, sign contract, and submit whatever outstanding,
Outstanding.
yeah, documentation which is needed.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking this opportunity to urge, especially our students or from any other institution, to say you must check with NASFAF because that is the position.
Yes.
NASFAF is sitting with the applications which are incomplete,
Yes.
especially in terms of contracts. In our students, some of them, they even finish the academic year.
Wow.
And the monitors never received any fees. So
Yeah.
even our accounts office is threatening them. If you don't go to NASFAF to sign off,
Yeah, yeah.
you have to be responsible now for paying on your own.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we don't want to go there. We know the reason why people went to NASFAF in the first place.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
please, all the students, you must go and check with NASFAF and make sure that everything is in order.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Coming to our fees, I'm not very good at fees, but I'll try. we give the most affordable fees
Yeah.
in terms of private education. Why? Because we know that our people cannot afford
Yes,
high fees.
yes.
We can't even compare to ourselves to our sister institutions, for example, in Botswana or in South Africa. They charge 3 times or 4 times than what we charge.
Exactly.
Running higher education is very expensive. Many people want to talk it as a commodity in which
Yeah,
you can make
yeah,
money out of. But really, you can't make money out of education. It's a public good, as per se. So it is very expensive. So what we only able to do is, in terms of application fees, our people are just paying, I think, 250. Then they register with 1,250. So before they come to school, we require them to pay an enrollment fee of between 2,000 to 3,000. So basically that's it. But for many organizations who pay for our students, yes, we'll give them the quotation, which states whatever is required, then they pay the cash. But for now, students who want to apply to monitronics, our dates, we have extended them because of the late coming of the results. So for our old students, returning students,
Yes.
they are starting, I think, is it on the 12th, on the 15th? So our all returning students, they are required to be in the college on the 15th. But for the new students, because of the late coming of the results of grade 12, we are going to extend until the 1st of March.
And
That's
that
when
is
we
for
intend.
enrollment.
Yes, for enrollment. We'll start classes then. Maybe our orientation will start then from the 1st of March.
Okay.
So we have extended to that because of the delay in the examinations.
But that means now the registration process, when does that close off? When is the due date for
Yes,
that?
we have a due date, I think, on the 20th, somewhere there.
On the 20th.
Then if you come after the 20th of February, it means that's late registration until we start classes on the 1st. That's where we accommodate late registrations. Because we earmarked to say, I think the only thing we can do is to start our classes on the 1st of March.
Okay.
So between the 20th and the 1st of March, that's already late registration. You can still register in that particular gap. Yes, our fees, total fees are quite manageable. They are between 10,000, 14,000 and all that, if somebody is paying cash.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there, Mr. Nitschke, just a quick one, we're running out of time, but we would also like to hear, I think Dr. Nyanga already alluded to what they had to do because of the release of the late results
Yes.
or the late release of results. What is the case with NAMCO?
Yes, NAMCO for the secondary education programs, our registration starts on 21st of February.
Okay.
That is Monday over a week. Until the 11th of March.
Okay.
That is our normal registration period. But we know that the results might only be released after that date, which means then the management will have to consider the demand at that time.
Okay.
Okay. But we really want to encourage the parents and learners who want to register in the secondary education program. Start when we start. Come register. If you are ready, register when we start.
Yeah.
We have a quota system in terms of the number of subjects. The institution has limited capacity. So
Yes.
we can only take a certain number of students per subject.
Yeah.
So if you come on the 11th of March, then it means that subject might not be available at the center where you want it.
Exactly.
So we open on the 21st of February, and we want really that first week to see the storm, not in the last week. But I just want to bring in one, since our time is limited. One thing that students, it pains us to find out around June or August in the year, you are called by parents and students and say, I have registered my son at NAMCOL, but he has not been registered for examination. NAMCOL is not an examination authority. We write the same examination as government.
Yeah.
So government is the examination, is responsible for the examination. So you must register with the Ministry of Education for your examination. If you don't register, that means comes at the end of the year, all the time has been wasted, you can't write, and so on. So make sure at your point of enrollment, what is the examination registration requirement? Because that is not part of your enrollment.
Okay.
And that it counts for most of the part-time institutions.
Yes.
They write the same examination as government, so you come to enroll, make sure that you know that you register separately for the examination.
Okay. But this is done through the institution.
No.
So the person has to do that as an
Separate.
individual
Separate.
directly with the
With the
ministry.
Ministry of Education. They have their own officials who do that, and they have their own systems and own requirements.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So once you have registered by an institution for your tuition and so on that is registered, then you need to use that information to register for your examination.
Okay.
And there's a different fee attached to it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we need to be very clear on that with regards to NAMCOL and the secondary education examination. Those are two different registrations on their own. NAMCOL is the institution that teaches you, but the government is the one that registers you for the examination. So it's two different registrations that is advisable to do at the same time. Once you receive your information from NAMCOL, do not go sit at home. Please take the time and the energy, while you're still hyped up, go with that information and go to the registration office for the examination so that you do not miss out on the opportunity of writing your exams timeously. Unfortunately, our time has run out for the afternoon. And as we say, these topics are really national pertinent topics that we want to use platforms like these to make sure that our youth are aware of what their options are. They have proper information. But unfortunately, time does not always allow us to go into every single nitty-gritty of a detail that is required. So we advise that you approach the various institutions. All of them are open right now. And approach the various institutions and get all the necessary information that you require to make sure that you are not left behind, to ensure that you are able to build your foundation for your future. As youth, we say that the youth is the leadership for tomorrow. But for this afternoon, from myself, Shianwa Desire Kahiha, the panelists in studio, as well as our production team, we would like to thank you for joining us, and bye-bye.